Well, the winter break for the Illinois General Assembly over as they now start year 2 of a 2-year term. Today they're back in session. They're scheduled Wednesday as well and Thursday. We'll see if they cancel Thursday or not. Of course, weather could be an issue or just, not really having much on the table as of now. But there's some indication of what could come up. Especially in the first few weeks of session. And again, they're in this week for 3 days, then they're off until early February, and then they come back for a few weeks, and then they're off. And then they come back in earnest in March and April and May. So we'll be watching all of that and bringing you updates on letting you know what's going on at the Illinois State House. But some of the things that could come up, of course, you've got the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, that legislative body that oversees administrative rule making, and they're set to hold a hearing today. This morning. It's going to be the first thing out of the gate. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the Illinois State Police emergency rules concerning the gun ban registry. You had the initial rules filed on September 15th. The registry opened October 1st. All these lawsuits still pending. And we got updates throughout the 3-month window that the registry was open, and saw that indeed about 1.2% of Illinois firearm owner ID card holders actually registered banned items. Others speculate that if you extrapolate different data, you could possibly get up to 4, maybe 8% of those who have banned items actually complying with the registry. So it'll be interesting to see if the second notice rules from Illinois State Police come up at the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. So there's a couple of things they could do. The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules can either object to those rules, suspend those rules, or agree with the rules, and then they go into effect. So we'll watch what happens, but clearly there's still going to be some unanswered questions, I imagine, as even the second notice rules that dealt with things like addressing airsoft attachments, or what's a licensed gun range, or who needs to register their private firearms when it comes to law enforcement, retired law enforcement, those in the security space. So just mounting questions, including what exactly constitutes, a banned item. A muzzle brake, a flash suppressor, a pistol grip, where that's attached, whether it's attached, does that matter? Do you need a FOID card in order to register banned items? So you've got all of these things in place, but Illinois State Police have said that they're going to keep the registry open, which has raised red flags for other people as well. So the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, I'm expecting that they will ask a lot of questions of Illinois State Police, or they may not bring it up at all, which would be interesting, and then they just delay the process a few more weeks until next month's JCAR hearing. So that's going to happen today. But you also have a bunch of different news conferences that are expected. One's going to deal with a commission to evaluate Illinois' role in the Underground Railroad. You've got a lot of other news conferences that are going to be held, including conversations about the ongoing migrant issue in the state of Illinois and how it should be addressed. Not just with the humanitarian crisis, but also the taxpayer funds that are involved here. Last week, Governor J.B. Pritzker, he was asked about what to expect when it comes to funding for the ongoing migrant crisis. Here's some of what he had to say last week.
It does not need to happen right away, but suffice to say, I've brought this up to leaders. They haven't wanted to bring it up yet. I do think it's going to be important for to deal with the costs here. That are rising all the time, or at least the toll is rising, and we're all working together to try to meet the demand.
Is there a dollar figure you're looking at?
I'm sorry, say it again. Well, $160 million is the amount that we've put forward. Yeah, we want to make sure we're filling all the buckets that we've drawn from in order to make sure we're dealing with the crisis at hand.
So again, that was last week, the governor talking a little bit about the spending side of the migrant crisis, but also last week, widely publicized, Governor Pritzker sending Texas Governor Greg Abbott a letter asking for mercy, especially with the absolutely frigid temperatures in Illinois. But whether or not not that actually has an impact on reducing the number of migrant buses coming from the southern U.S. border to not just Chicago, but other areas outside of Chicago. As we've seen some of the suburbs getting buses, even Rockford getting a plane load at one point. So clearly this is going to be an ongoing conversation. So while the governor has previously said that the state of Illinois is a welcoming state and he's signed sanctuary state policies, and Chicago said they're going to remain a sanctuary city, you've got others who are pushing to reverse this, and even some counties across the state essentially declaring themselves non-sanctuary counties for non-citizens. And also others wanting to put in place bus ordinances to say that you can't just randomly drop off a bus of migrants in an area. So how that's going to be addressed, we will see a little indication today, but other things also could come up. You've got the Chicago School Board that's still on the docket with a couple of different competing measures out of the Senate and the House. And it was a little confusing for fall veto session back in November whether or not they advanced a cohesive idea to bring about elected Chicago school boards. So we'll be seeing what happens with that as well. But just some of what could take place today at the Illinois General Assembly as lawmakers come back into session. So clearly it's going to be a busy couple of days here, and tune in. I'll keep you updated each and every weekday morning here with Bishop on Air. Follow me on X, formerly Twitter, or Facebook. Search Bishop on Air. But I would encourage you to bookmark, even if you're not on X, bookmark my page, because there I'll be posting regularly with various updates. So there you go. That's what you got for this Tuesday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for hanging out. Follow along Bishop on Air here on YouTube, X, Facebook. You can find my website, bishoponair.com. Hopefully you will check that out as well. And then check out the store. If you like what I'm doing, you could buy some merchandise and, a coffee cup, sweatshirt, baseball cap, even an apron, if you can find that on the store. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me each and every weekday morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning here with Bishop on Air.